Here's the marble that we brought back from the local supplier. You transport this on an A-frame rack in the back of your truck to make sure that the slab doesn't lay flat and snap potentially on any bump in the road. If you don't have one of these, you can build one out of a pallet and some 2x4s with lateral bracing. Once you get the slab back to the job site, make sure that you do put it on a work surface that can handle the weight. And also get the slab lifted up off the surface. I use a couple 2x4s going both directions, so that way the sections of my slab that I'm going to be cutting out are not directly supported underneath by any wood support, so my blade can penetrate nicely through. But the areas around my cutouts will be supported properly.
Alright, today here we're going to show you guys how to do some undermount sink cutouts for, well, today we're doing this on a marble, but really any solid surface, like granite, I don't know, quartz, whichever you so please. But basically this is what I do. Here's the little template cutout. Figured out where my sinks are gonna go, tape it out. Here's my little edge markers, there's my center. And then I just start cutting holes. I use my hole cutter for my faucets. I haven't done my faucet holes yet, but I just they're basically just like little relief cuts. So when I go ahead and use my diamond bit saw blades over here, and I'm just gonna connect the dots, pew, pew. And then after I remove the centers, I'll polish off the whole insides, and that's basically that's it. Over here is where I'm gonna cut out my the edges, because this is an 8-foot slab. I only need 6 feet of this. And it's only 21 inches for the vanity, so this comes in 25. So just to show you, this is kind of how it's done.
Now, I forgot to mention earlier, before I started, I use this hole saw technique for the radiuses on the inside, because I found that there was a great way for me just to maintain the consistency of all 4 corners and radiuses if I started off with the hole saw for my template. I tried using scrap pieces in the past just to practice the inside radiuses, but after all the polishing was done, not all my radiuses looked equal, and I'm just OCD. So I found this just to be the quickest, easiest method to get our inside radiuses.
But we'll just use our saw blades afterwards. Just put this on our cut-off saw. This comes out, and then we'll just use our little buffing pads all the way up into the polishing range, and we'll just clean it all up. I'm going to come back in a little bit.
And what I like about these slabs is they're pre-finished. You can pick them up for whatever application you need it for. You can have the fronts pre-bullnosed. Usually they come with at least one right or left side pre-bullnosed and polished. This one that I'm using, it has a front bullnose polish and left side bullnose polished. And so I'm just going to cut off the end that I don't need. But the local suppliers have many different varieties of slabs to choose from, marble, granite, all those other exotic stones as well. Now when I first start making my cuts with my cutoff saw, I'll slowly penetrate the material maybe an 1/8 of an inch deep, and I'll make passes back and forth on my line, not to take off too much at one point in time, because I've noticed sometimes your blade might gum up, softer material might chip a little bit easier if you're trying to cut off more than your blade can handle. So it's better just to take it slow and steady when you're working with a pricey material like this. Using a spray bottle with water, a variable speed buffer, and a hook and loop pad with diamond grit polishing pads, starting off at 50 grit, then going to 100 grit, and then 200 grit. We'll be going all the way up to 3000 grit, finishing with a buffing pad. Now, a word to the wise, if you guys are using this equipment and the spray bottle, I recommend plugging your equipment into a GFCI ground fault circuit interrupter. Technically, these pads that I'm using and the cutoff wheel, that's all meant to be used with just dry. I like to use the spray bottle just to cut down on the dust, and also it helps my pads from gumming up during the polishing process. They do sell water rated equipment, but they're usually 3 to 5 times the price. So for the budget guy, backyard fabricator, this is kind of the way I go. Now, if you're wondering about the Captain Jack spray bottle with Dead Bug, it's just water. I like the recycle, reduce, reuse. They are not a sponsor. It would be great if they were, but you can find their product at any local nursery. It works great. Check it out. Now sometimes when you come to inside radiuses, I found that if you off-center the polishing pad just a little bit, you're able to get a little bit more flex to get inside the inside radiuses, so that way you can properly polish them. If you don't offset it, then you'll start getting a groove to be possibly cut into your radius, and it might just end up being a square when you're done. So you can play around with that with just some scrap pieces. Well, there we go. We got all the polishing done. Next step would just be for the faucet cutouts using the same hole saw we used earlier for the relief cuts. Hope you guys like watching my video. Me doing some backyard marble fabrication. Take care. Now here's a tip for you guys that are fabricating for the first time. You can pick up scrap material or damaged material, usually at the Granite suppliers, that you could practice cutouts on prior to doing your cutouts on your final finished material.